Good morning, human disease crew. Welcome to week 3. Take a deep breath. You've got 2 weeks under your belts. And I know things are a little wild and woolly at the front end of the semester, but it seems like folks are adjusting and will settle into kind of the rhythm of the semester. So first things first, on the day after the quizzes get published, go back through the quizzes and take a look at any content that you struggled with or any questions that you missed. And then do a couple of things. Again, you always have to close the loop on the content. You're in this class for the outcomes to learn things. But also, if you ever miss a question, and it happens to all of us, you have to ask yourself, why did I miss that question? And there are a number of different reasons. The answer, when you answer yourself, that will give you an idea of how to better plan for the upcoming quizzes. So if you didn't read carefully, then you have to start reading carefully. If you didn't study it, then you have to make sure that you know all the content. That kind of thing, that sort of diagnostic will never change. There were some related things on this stuff. And as we move through this content, sometimes things are a little bit detailed and there are fine differences between certain concepts. For example, vasodilation is sending components of blood to a specific area. The blood vessels get bigger, we can carry more blood through a larger tube. So vasodilation is responsible for increased blood flow and increased delivery of blood components to a certain area. In order for the inflammation response to be as robust as it should, those components that travel to that area in blood have to get out. And in order to get out of blood and into the surrounding tissues where they can essentially do battle, the cells in those blood vessels have to become a little bit loose and leaky, and that's called increased permeability. So they do work together, but vasodilation and increased permeability are technically separate things. This week coming up, we've got pathogens and communicable diseases. Two essentially, well, it's going to seem like they're unrelated, but in fact, they're massively related. So there are 2 presentations to watch this week. One on pathogens, so we'll talk about things that can potentially cause changes in our body. Some of those changes are harmful. And then we'll talk about diseases that can be given and taken between humans, and there are a lot of them, but we'll focus on a couple of the specific ones. So kind of general, now that you're getting the hang of things, I hope, and I've had a lot of good conversations with a number of you. This is just going to be kind of like a business week as usual. So 2 chunks of content, pathogens and communicable diseases. We'll have a 10-question quiz over all of the content at the end of this week. Again, that will be Sunday morning to Monday morning. I hope you're adjusting to this. And then this week for critical skills, rather than write questions, I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit differently. A lot of us use visual tools and tricks to help us remember things. So I'm going to leave this kind of a little bit generic because I'd like you to develop a tool that would work the best for you. Sorry, my phone's dying. I'd like you to develop a tool that will work the best for you and then share it with the class. So for this week, would you please, for your critical skills assignment that's due on Friday night, construct a chart or a table or a diagram for the pathogen content. And I'm going to leave it as generic as that. A lot of times when we study things, there are a lot of different categories that kind of run together or that become a little bit more difficult to keep track of. This week, I'm going to ask you to think a little bit visually, and this will be on a piece of paper, and you can submit this, or maybe this is some kind of PowerPoint. I don't know how much work you want to put into it. I'm not going to put a lot of stipulations on this. Please create a visual tool to help you study pathogens, and then you'll post that, and then that video tool will also be available to help your classmates study pathogens as well. So that's what we got this week, kind of straightforward. I'll be reaching out to each of you individually. If you're not checking your email twice a day, you got to do that. You have to get back to me if I ask questions. And it's also the way that we stay connected to course material. Online asynchronous requires that we just stay a little more connected sometimes than we want to. So pathogens, communicable diseases, quiz at the end of this, critical skills due on Friday, and please create something visual that will help you think and study and remember the pathogen content. Have a safe Monday, folks. I really appreciate all the work. I promise this will pay off.